Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Moving to Texas team down here in Houston, Texas, with another episode of the Real Advice Podcast. I'm really excited to welcome this week's guest to the podcast. She is licensed in multiple states and has worked in a ton of different facets of the real estate industry and done a ton of transactions, both representing buyers and sellers as a buyer and seller herself, developer, investor, all kinds of things. So I'm really excited to dig in because I know she has a ton of knowledge that she's about to drop on y'all. Been following her on social media for a while and really enjoy like the wide variety of content featuring the team and listings, family life, and just funny stuff in regards to real estate. I feel like I've known her for a while, but was fortunate to spend some time at a recent mastermind where we got to, get to know each other a little bit better. So I'm really excited to dig in. So join me in welcoming this week's guest, Jen Dillard. What's going on? JDRE, what's
Hi.
up?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to see you and chat.
I know,
So,
I'm pumped.
yeah,
So for those that may not know you, what's your
yes.
life story? Who are you?
I am Jen Dillard, and I I have been in the real estate industry for 15 years. I got started in the Seattle area and kind of dabbled in it for a little while. And then after having my two little kiddos, who are now 7 and 6, I had a moment where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew that I love being at home with my kids, but I just felt like there was something that I was being pulled to do
Okay.
on top of that. So I decided that I wanted to go back into real estate because that's when I felt the most fulfilled and excited. And so got back into it and really went in full force after having my kids. So about 2015. And I was in the Seattle area and worked that market for a while. And then my husband and I decided to move our family to where we are now, which is Hood River, Oregon. It's about 45 minutes east of Portland. And it's a beautiful resort town that has the Columbia River runs through the town, through and separates Oregon and Washington. So that's why I am licensed in both Oregon and Washington. And yeah, I absolutely love real estate, as you said, Katie, in all facets. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to kind of dig in, to
yeah,
obviously like everything that you've done and things like that. So,
yeah.
I know you have a team. Are most of your agents like dual licensed or some licensed in one or the other, or like what's kind of that setup?
For the most part, they are dual licensed. There are a few that it doesn't really make sense for them because they really only work in Oregon, but most of us do work in both Oregon and Washington.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're like legit like right on the
It's
border. So like
literally a bridge it's 5 minutes across the bridge. So
this is a stupid question, but like I mean, I guess if a river is dividing it, you wouldn't have a property that's on in both states, right? Like
no.
it's in one or the other. Is that
Yeah,
a
it's
dumb
in one or the
question?
other. No, no. I mean, honestly, I moved here and I was like at the title office and I'm looking out the window and I'm like, oh, is that where our house is? And my husband's like, no, that's Washington. I was like, oh, cool.
So no,
So
that means no, it's in another state.
no, yeah.
I feel like people are like, oh yeah, like Katie, she's pretty intelligent, and then like I make that statement, like, all right, we're done. We're done with this podcast. We're done with Katie. Like she's
I think
clearly
it's valid.
but that's cool. So
Yeah.
obviously you said, 45 minutes or whatever outside of Portland. Do y'all go to
Mhm.
Portland often? Ever?
Yes, because it's the closest Target, Home Goods, Trader Joe's. I mean, we're a small town.
Okay.
We have grocery stores and we have, and such. But as far as that stuff goes, you've got to drive all the way to Portland to get access to that. So yes, because we
Okay.
also do stage all of our own listings. So we frequent Home Goods. I'm a frequent flyer.
Do they have a punch card there? No, I'm kidding.
They should
Cool.
for
So
me. Yes.
you're like, please, Home Goods, if you're listening, Jen needs a punch card.
Sponsor me. No.
Buy 5 couches, get the 6th for free. Okay,
Yes.
so you've had like kind of quite the journey through real estate. I didn't realize that you said 2015 was when you kind
When
of
I
got.
really, yeah,
So I didn't realize that
that's when I
you.
really, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you'd been in it for
Yeah,
like years and
2015
years and
is when I
years.
really went for it. And then I moved to Hood River in 2017, and that's when I started building my team.
Nice. So, that was going to be one of my questions. How long have you had a team? So 2017, what
Yeah.
advice, or like if you could do it over again, because I know like, obviously, I have a team as well. Like if I could
Yeah.
do things over again, I probably would have changed some things. So what advice would you give to someone
Mhm.
that's just starting a team?
I would have started a team right away. I would have started it a lot earlier. I think that I just didn't really, I should have dug into what makes me happy, which is being around other people. I work well with others. I like to be, to have that energy bounce off of each other and have ideas and collaborate. So I feel like I really thrive in that environment, and I think that other people do too. So it's not for everyone for sure, but I definitely would have started my team earlier. Um, and my building my team has been all organic. I haven't done any recruiting, and not that there's a right or wrong way to do it, but for me personally, it's just been all organic, just word of mouth or meeting people a certain way, or yeah. So
Well, and I think some of that, at least I know from my experiences, is like social, right? And like I know you're very
mhm.
active on social media,
Yeah,
and like obviously for marketing your listings and to the market and things like that, but also like on the real estate side of like, hey, these are the things that are happening in the market. These are the things that
yeah.
are happening with our team. Like here's some real estate advice if you're buying or selling or whatever. So like,
Mhm.
have you found that a lot of agents joining your team have found you through social, or like know you better, using air quotes, because of social? Like has that had an impact?
Definitely. And I definitely think that as of the last few years, even more so. Um, my first agent, I met him at a coffee shop, and my first agent on my team, and I just loved his energy. He was always so engaging with his clients, with the customers that came in. And so he was the first one to join my team. And he's still on my team to this day, and he's just such a joy to have around. And then from there, it was just as soon as we started really being active on social media and out in the community more and all of those things, I've definitely seen my team grow tremendously since then.
Was he working at the coffee shop, or you just
Yeah.
made a okay, I was like, did you just have a conversation with a stranger, or you like,
I mean,
okay,
I
so
do that a lot, but
that's why I asked.
no, he was working there, and just everyone just came in and was like, "Hey, Boney!" Everybody always loved talking to him because
Yeah.
he's just so engaging, and so I asked him like, "Hey, what's your story? Like, have you always been as your passion making coffee?" And he's like, "No, but
But it
it's what
pays
I'm
the
doing
bills.
now." Yeah, I don't know. And so, yeah. And then he told me that he had done sales in the past, and so I told him, "Hey, if you ever think that real estate might be a path that you want to try, let me know." And he got his license and called me. So yeah,
That's awesome. And that's like,
yeah.
if you ever think this could be a thing, and then he's like, all right, let's do this. So
Let's
that's
make it a
cool.
thing.
Um, that's cool. So kind of along the same lines of social and things like that, like I really enjoy your social because of the variety of
Thank
content,
you.
right? Like you get family stuff, you get real estate stuff, you get, some funny stuff as well, educational. Like I
Mhm.
think that too many people try to like just do one thing. And I think like
Yeah,
as you kind of master that, you should continue to add different types of content and stuff like that. So I think you've done a really good job of that, is my
thank you.
long-winded way of saying that. But where do you come up with like your content ideas? Because you do have like a wide range of videos, you have like shorter stuff, you have just
Yeah.
posts. Like where does your inspiration and content come from?
I really try to just be myself and be authentic. And I'm silly. Like I just am I love to laugh. I love to be silly. And so the Heard on Third series really came from just, I wanted to show my personality. And so I came up with this goofy idea for the first one. I'm like, let's just go with it. Let's see what happens. And then I kept coming up with more ideas, and there are more coming that are very good, very funny. And I didn't think other people would. First of all, I told Jason, our coach, I said, Jason, I did not realize I was funny. I mean, I thought I was funny, but I thought I'm like the person that laughs at my own jokes. I didn't realize that other people would actually find me funny as well. So,
You're like laughing at your joke before you say the joke, and you can't get the joke out because you're already
yeah,
laughing. Yeah,
totally. That's definitely me.
I've
So
got a few
it was
friends
a
like that.
nice surprise to know other people thought I was funny as well.
Well, yeah, that's always good to get some validation on that front.
Yes.
What do you think is like your best video you've done, or like what's something that if someone's like, oh, like, do you have a video you could show me? You're like, oh, this is always the one I go to. Do you have something like that?
For Heard on Third, for that series, the yoga video. I mean, there's one where I'm literally crawling on the floor and people just thought like that went crazy. People loved that one. And I think it was just relatable. So many of us are into fitness classes and, are at, you're out and you just hear things and like
Yeah.
everybody thinks of realtors as just being like, hey, you want to sell your house? Hey, you want to sell your house? Which is not exactly how it goes, but
Yeah.
it was fun to kind of poke fun at. So.
Good times, good times. Always,
Yeah.
yeah. So, talking a little bit, or like shifting gears a little bit, I know that something that you've done a lot of is like investing and development and stuff like that. So how did you get into that?
So, I mean, real estate has always been a passion. And my husband really started to get me into the investing aspect. He has been investing in real estate since he was in his early 20s. And we just have, bought one thing and then sold it and then bought another thing or rented it out and just continued to grow our portfolio over the years. And it has grown a lot. So our one of the properties that we bought that's been the most fun, I think, is it was a building that's in a town close by. It's called the Dalles, and we bought the building. It had commercial downstairs, and over time we phased out tenants and put in newer, more relevant tenants for the area. And then the top hadn't been occupied since the 1940s, and it was actually an old brothel, and they did like ghost tours, and it was like super creepy and weird, and I loved it. And
Yeah.
so we got in there and we gutted the whole thing and updated all the electric and plumbing and everything and turned it into 9 high-end apartments.
Nice.
And it was such a fun project. It turned out great and it was really great for the community. So,
Yeah, that's cool. I thought
yeah.
I was gonna make a bad joke about old brothel, new brothel, but anyways, moving on. So obviously having a team, one of the things you said earlier is that you would have started it earlier, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think that like people, there's kind of, especially with teams now, and like I know you have a successful team. You guys sold a shit ton of real estate last year. You're gonna sell even more this year. I think there's two things with teams. First, like I think that teams are so popular right now. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, I have a
Mhm.
team, and it's like you have a
Yeah.
loose group of people that meets maybe once a month at a coffee
Yeah.
shop potentially, and like you don't actually have a team, right?
Yeah.
And then you have like, so there's just a lot of people that say they're a team. There's a lot of people that I think start
Mhm.
teams too soon, right?
Yep.
So like
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
you're saying you may have waited too long, right? How would you know if I'm an agent and I've been in the business for a
Mhm.
little while, like when do you think is the right moment, or when would be like the catalyst that you're like, okay, yeah, now is the time to start a team? Do you get where I'm going with this? I feel like I just kind of went on a
Absolutely.
little bit of a rant.
I totally get it. Yeah. So when I would recommend that you might want to think about growing a team is when you are having to feel like you need to turn people away because you're too busy,
Mhm.
or there's somebody that's interested in something that's maybe a little bit outside of your reach. And those are the things I look for. So I've grown my team by kind of putting it out there that I'm interested in somebody who's in a town that is close by, but that we don't service because we don't have anybody that wants to drive 30, 40 minutes or whatever it is. So I feel like that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I've grown. But then also, if you're too busy, if your phone's ringing, you're like, I don't have time to show this client, but I don't want to turn them away to have them go to some
Yeah.
other brokerage. It's time.
So I feel like what most people, like the objection to that to most agents would be, you know, Um, but if I start a team, then like I'm gonna make less money. If I service the client, I would make more money. What would be your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like right off the bat, you might make less money, but over time you'll make more money. So
Okay.
it takes time to build a team. It takes time to get that momentum going, but it all depends on how you have it split up, of course, too. Your splits and what you offer and all of those things. But
Yeah. Yeah.
some people give it all away, which yeah.
Lead with profit, guys. If you're thinking about starting a team, you got to
Yeah.
know your numbers. Got to
Yes,
know your
super
numbers.
important. And I think having a team where you meet every once in a while is just, I don't think that it works that way. I mean, I think culture is everything, and having that connection and collaborative energy, and we stay on a consistent group chat. We have a text group chat that we're always texting on and congratulating each other and helping each other when we need help with something,
Yeah.
or just being supportive, I think is so important to have that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the culture aspect is something that a lot of people, um, both on teams and forming teams don't think about as much, right? Like,
Yeah.
you do need to lead with profit, you do need to look at the numbers, but I think,
Yeah.
forming some sort of culture, whatever that looks like for you and your team is important. As far as kind of structure and things like that, like, do you all meet often? Do you guys do a lot over
Yeah.
Zoom? Like, what have y'all done to kind of foster that culture within the team?
Mhm. We meet once a week in person, and we have made the office really a collaborative space, so it flows really nicely, and people want to be here. So I would say the majority of our team members come to the office, I mean, at least a few times a week.
Yeah.
And so just being in front of each other and seeing each other and knowing what everybody's working on and seeing how you can help. And we hold each other's listings, you hold open houses
Yeah.
and do showings, help each other. It's very collaborative.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, it looks cool. Like the brick behind you, I think is pretty cool.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes,
I
I
like
am
it.
in the cafe. If you want
I love it.
should be
Um,
bar JDRE. That could be more fun, but
I recently was at a venue like touring it, and they were like, "Yeah, this is like our coffee space, blah 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 blah." But then at 2 p.m. it turns into a bar, and they serve
oh,
up cocktails from 2 p.m. to midnight. I was like, "All right, that's good to know." So that could be the same. Like you turn
I'm
off
into
like the
that.
one light, and then turn on another, and it says bar, and
I'm
kind
actually
of mix it
really
up.
into this idea. I should write this down. I
Yeah,
like
a
it.
new idea formed on the podcast. I like it.
Yes. Yes.
So as far as like lead gen and stuff like that, what is your team's, kind of like lead pillars, or what does that look like?
So we do, obviously we get a lot of business from social media just for being in front of people, trying to be helpful and informative and educational online, and providing good content so people feel comfortable or approachable to reach out to. Then of course we do, as far as lead gen, just placing ads and doing Facebook ads and Instagram ads and marketing, and just pushing the content that we're working, making that content really work for us. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would
No, I
say
mean
that's
that's
probably our biggest.
that's cool. So one thing I feel like, how big is your team? How many
I
agents on
have
your team right now?
14 agents and then 5 full-time employees.
No, I mean, so that's a pretty big team. So I get this, and I get it from just individual agents, from agents on my team,
Mhm.
and just in general, like talking to team leaders. How do you either help your team or inspire your team to post more on social, or is that kind of a
Mm,
requirement on being on the team? Because like I know, like I mean, we both are on Instagram a lot, like posting, different things like that, and it's like it's sometimes difficult to get the team to do it. So like what's
it
either, do you
is.
help them with that? How do you do that?
Yeah, so it is really challenging to get them to do reels or to do anything where their faces on the camera
Yeah.
and they're live. I mean, that is really challenging. Uh, we do help them with our marketing as far as their posts and, you know, just listed, their postcards, their new, all of that stuff. We do help with. I encourage them to do more where they're on camera, but I don't require. It's not a requirement.
Yeah.
Some people, I just feel like everybody has their own way of marketing. Maybe it's video, maybe it's not. And I'm trying to be understanding of the fact that it maybe isn't for everyone,
Yeah, I'm just
although it
curious.
certainly worked for us. But
Yeah. I'm more
yeah,
so curious for me, because that's something
yeah,
that like, we can give you a post with a caption and it still might not
yeah,
get posted, right? We can give you a script, but it still might not get shot. Um, so a
yeah.
lot of my agents lately, when we've been doing like different accountability, like they've been throwing in the hat, like, oh, I want to shoot blank amount of reels this week, or
Mhm.
I'm not drinking on my vacation, or I'm not,
Yeah,
getting coffee next week, or whatever it is. But they definitely
yeah,
want to do it. I think, so I'm just always curious to see what other, team leads and people that are
yeah.
heavy on social say. So thanks.
Are you, do you have a place for them like set up for them to do reels? Or
No,
do you just, they just, yeah, like a studio or anything? Yeah.
no.
No,
But
I don't either.
okay. I was like, oh, well,
No,
that
I
might
don't.
be the solution.
No, I don't either, but it's something I've thought about is like if I had a place where they could like go in and record, would they? But
So
I'd probably just be in there all day by myself. So
they're like, man, Jen is just pumping out content. So our friend Erica Wolf, the
yes.
Wolf of Real Estate down there in Jupiter, Florida. So she, when they moved into their office, got a bunch of walls. And so say you're in a room with 3, walls and a glass door, each wall has a different wallpaper. So like in theory, you
Mhm.
have 3 different like, whatever. And she's got like selfie lights and
Oh,
tripods and
that's
like all the
cool.
things. And like no one shoots with that
Oh,
either. So it's
yeah.
a really cool idea though. Like,
It's just not, some people just don't have that personality. They are so uncomfortable being in front of the camera. And for some, it comes more naturally. I think
yeah,
for me, I am naturally okay with being in front of the camera, but I've become more and more comfortable the more I do it. So
that's the key
I
though. What she
know.
just said, becoming more comfortable creating content, the more you actually do it. So
Mhm.
it's a novel concept, but
Yeah,
practice makes better
better.
than before. Not perfect.
No. Perfection's
um,
boring though. I feel like perfection is boring. I like to see people get silly and just be themselves and have fun with it. We don't want to see, nobody wants to see you being a robot on video. That's not fun.
my thing, so sometimes like I'll get a video back from my videographer edited and like I'll realize I misspoke or I like said a word incorrectly and I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
I'm just going to fix the caption because like 95% of people are watching reels and TikToks at work when they shouldn't be watching reels and TikToks, so they're relying on the
Yes.
captions anyways and they're probably not actually listening to the like physically listening to the words coming out of my mouth.
Totally.
So I'm like, I'm just going to post it and see if anyone notices. And like other than like maybe some like misspelled stuff before, I've never gotten someone to be like, you misspoke this word. So
Miss said.
missaid.
That's so funny. The other day I shot a listing video and I definitely said, welcome to my Lou listing. And I'm like, nobody's going to just do it, whatever. We just fixed the caption. But I'm like, why did I say
Wait, did you run with
Lou?
it? Did you
Yeah,
run with it, Lou?
definitely. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to reshoot it. Let's just go with it. Welcome to my Lou listing.
And I mean, it's out in the world now? Like
It's out in the world.
out
You can
there?
go find it, Katie. Go
All right,
find it.
let me write that down. Lou listing. I know you guys sell a lot of real estate, but it has to be in the recent past. So I'll find
It
it
is.
and I'm gonna
Yeah.
comment. Um, if
Call
you
me out.
weren't, yeah, I will. If you weren't a real estate agent, what do you think you'd be doing?
I think I'd probably be in fashion in some way. I love not necessarily, I love dressing up and all of that. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
But I just like picking out clothes, especially for other people. So some sort of design or fashion or something to that effect.
Speaking of design, you mentioned this earlier and I meant to dig in deeper
Yeah.
on it. You said that you guys stage all of your listings?
Yeah, we do. So when we started the team, I quickly learned that there weren't many, if any, options for stagers in our small town, and so you can still have big ideas even in a small town. So I decided that I was going to find a warehouse, and I did. I rented it out. I filled it with inventory over the last couple of years, and I'm still continuing to fill. My car was literally jammed. I could barely drive. I was like right up to the steering wheel. It was so full at Home Goods last night. But we have, yeah, we've been offering complimentary staging to all of our listings for the last few years.
So okay, so let's dig into this a little bit more.
Yeah, dig
Because
in.
like in theory, I'm like, I love it. Like I
Yeah.
would love to do that, but then I'm like, oh man, that does
Mhm.
seem like a lot of work, right?
It's a
So
ton of work. Ton.
so that's the only thing that kind of I'm like, maybe, right? But like, I mean, we pay a decent amount of money to staging companies.
Yeah.
Our sellers pay a decent amount of money to staging companies. Like, you know, there's definitely money to be made there, right? But like
Yeah.
cost the like work to benefit, like does that pan out? But like in Hood River, are there not really staging companies? Is this like your differentiator in your market?
There are a couple,
Yeah.
and you know, that's awesome, but we our style that the way we like to style homes is just it's not the same. So we, I think that everybody has their own taste, and ours is more modern. And so we choose to stage our own listings. And I have a lot of really great people that help me. So it's definitely not just me.
You're not lugging a couch up the stairs
I mean, there are definitely times where I am. And if we're short people, then I'm absolutely going to jump in and help.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for the most part, we have a great group of people that can help us out.
That's really cool. And so,
get it done. So.
I feel like though, being able to offer that because you own the furniture and it's yours, I mean, most agents aren't going to go into a listing and be like, oh yeah, I'm willing to spend. And I don't know what it looks like. Obviously cost of living in Oregon is different from Texas, but like they're not dropping $2K, $5K, $10K on, staging cost for a seller. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that is what it costs. It's expensive. It costs a lot of money. So it's worked out really well for us. But I think that if we didn't have the people that we have that can go in and have the eye and, decide where everything goes, and then the muscle to bring it in and to destage it, like those are all, you have to have all of that in place, and you have to have contracts to make sure that you cover your butt if something falls or someone gets hurt, or there's so much to think about.
Yeah. The logistics of it, I think, should be daunting if you're thinking about starting a staging company for, a complimentary.
Yeah, it's definitely business. Something to really, take into consideration all of the details. It's not just about the furniture. So
yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Good deal. Okay. What would be one thing I've been asking a lot of people lately that I would love to know is there a book or two that you think every real estate agent should read?
Yes. I'm going to forget the name of it, but the Art of Negotiation, is that what it's called? The Art of Negotiation.
Art of Negotiation.
Yeah. I think that's what one I just read. Yeah. That is amazing.
Okay.
I think that is a must for every real estate agent. Of course, Tom Ferry's books are always really great. And then the other one is remind me that how to say, what's the one that
exactly what to say?
Exactly what to say. Mind blowing.
Yeah. Did you buy the regular one or the real estate one?
Just the one that Tom gave us when we, the regular one.
Oh yeah. Cause he had copies. So I've been obsessed with that book for a while. So I am like unbelievably excited for like, when we got to like meet Phil Jones, I was like so excited.
My mind was literally blown. I feel like I had to like keep picking my jaw off the floor. It was so amazing.
Yeah. I took so many notes while he was talking. For sure.
Me too. And I keep looking him over and over and over. So
yeah, if you guys haven't read Exactly What to Say, or Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents, it's basically the same book, but with more real estate examples than just, regular business examples. Both are top notch. All right. I've got one question for you. If you've listened to a podcast, I feel like you already know what's coming. But if it were your last meal on earth, Jen, what would you be eating?
The biggest plate of sushi, like one of those big boats, just like a giant boat of sushi, because you can only eat so much and then you have the worst stomach ache. But if it's my last day, I'm like, whatever.
Just keep it going.
Just keep it going. Keep it going. Bring me all the sushi.
So I kind of knew that was what was going to be your answer. I kind of like thought, because like in your bio on every single site, it says like sushi aficionado or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like, you're my people.
Love it.
Have you had any sushi in like, I mean, so we know each other through the Tom Ferry ecosystem. So, we go to Dallas a lot because Tom now lives in Dallas, right? Have you gone to any sushi in Dallas?
No. The last time when we were in Dallas, that was my first time ever going to Dallas. So
you did say that.
So are we going or are we going?
The answer is, or the question is when, not if. Will you be at Summit in August?
I will be there.
Okay, let's talk offline. We don't need to make all of our plans right now on the podcast where people are like, are they going to give us more real estate advice? There are some really good places in Dallas that I like.
I'm in.
So we can totally go one night. All right. Anyways,
love that.
Thank you so much for your time today. If someone were looking to connect with you, perhaps they have someone moving to Hood River or somewhere around there, what would be the best place for them to reach out to you?
So my personal page is at Jen Dillard, super easy, just one N, Jen Dillard. And then our team page is at JDRE Team.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Jen, thank you so much for your time today. It was great to
Thank you
learn
for
more
having me,
about your
Katie.
business, and I'm excited to see you soon where we get some sushi.
Yes, absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you so much.